Shall we begin, ma'am? I cannot hear you, ma'am. You're muted, I guess, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Very good morning to all of you. Very happy to join SPIC MACAY.
Thank you.
Good morning to everyone. We'll start.
Yes. Go ahead.
Namaskar to all. I'm Ranjana Mishra from Bhubaneswar, Odisha chapter. I welcome all of you on behalf of Speak Make to this beautiful Anubhav series. I really feel you all are watching Anubhav series. It is a great opportunity for us to experience a ashram like environment being at home. Today, I really feel very privileged to welcome our Guru today, Vidushi Neena Prasad ji. She is an internationally acclaimed artist of Mohiniyattam. Mohiniyattam is a popular dance form of Kerala. Mohiniyattam, as the name says, has derived its meaning from Mohini, the female incarnation of Lord Vishnu, who has prevailed good over evil by developing feminine powers. Mohiniyattam was typically restricted to females, but now no such restriction is there. Welcome to our show, ma'am. We are really very happy you accepted our invitation. And now, this beautiful interaction session will be continued by Anushri. Over to you, Anushri.
Thank you so much, Anjana, ma'am. Namaskar, everyone. Please accept my warm greetings. I'm Anushri Kanodia, and let me begin the session by talking a little about Neena ji first. So, Dr. Neena Prasad is a rare blend of strong footing in academic study and fine aesthetic sense of a performing artist. She has undergone rigorous training in four different classical styles: Mohiniyattam, Bharatnatyam, Kuchipudi, and Kathakali from respectively Kalamandalam Sugandhi and Kalamandalam Shemavati, Guru Adya K. Lakshman, Guru Vempati Chinna Satyam, and Vembayam Apukattam Pillai, respectively. Her performances have won much appreciation in the country's artistic circuits, and she has also been the recipient of the prestigious awards from the Kerala Sangeet Academy, Mayipilli Puraskaram, Madras Music Academy, Nritya Chudamani from Krishna Gana Sabha, Chennai. She is the foremost representative of Mohiniyattam in the major and prestigious dance festivals in India and abroad. She is an empaneled artist of ICCR of the established category and a top grade artist of Doordarshan. Among many other professional activities she engages in, she is a faculty and research guide for scholars and a member of Board of Studies in many universities. She has headed the research department at Kerala Kalamandalam, and she has also been a member of the selection committee for awarding research scholarships and fellowships to the Department of Culture, Government of India. Currently, she is the chairman of Board of Fine Arts, Performing Arts Section, Calicut University. Dr. Neena Prasad has ventured into choreographing many items, both of the Margam and group thematic presentations, to widen the repertoire of Mohiniyattam. She has established two institutions: Bharatanjali Academy of Indian Classical Dances at Thiruvananthapuram and Sogandhika Center for Mohiniyattam, Chennai, where she continues her research pursuits and teaching responsibilities. We welcome you, ma'am.
Very happy to be here this fine morning for the Anubhav series of SPIC MACAY. And I welcome everybody.
So, ma'am, I guess everyone would like to know that what inspired you to embrace Mohiniyattam? Like, why this dance form, and how has been the journey so far with it?
I came late to Mohiniyattam. Well, as a teenager, I was more inspired with the, the other art forms like Bharatanatyam or Kuchipudi, and seeing a lot of artists performing from Chennai, Delhi, coming to Trivandrum. They came to Trivandrum for Surya or other major events which had happened here. I wanted to dance like them. So after during my matriculation, I was taken to Chennai by my parents for having a serious study in dance. I think it was those days were really molded me, but when I started doing my research, I found that Mohiniyattam had a space uh, for me to go further and ponder. Uh, and those were the times I realized there are so many windows to be opened. And frankly speaking, I was called for Mohiniyattam more, and many of the people who were cultural enthusiasts were kind of talking to me like, what will we do? Because every dancer in Kerala want to do Bharatanatyam or Kuchipudi, yeah, but no one wants to dance Mohiniyattam. So youngsters like you should work for it. Actually, this is how art knowledge had clicked me. And those days, everything fell on place for me with this musician, Madhavan Nambudiri, supporting me with music and new compositions. And also my gurus, they were making me stand in Mohiniyattam. So all those things gave me a wonderful, positive footing in Mohiniyattam at that time. And well, I had to fight many odds also, but it gave me a good spirit, and that was the story. Your mic is muted. Your mic is muted.
Yeah. So, ma'am, you said that you were inspired by other students to look forward to Mohiniyattam. So, is there some age at which children should start preparing if they want to get into this area? Is there some particular age where we should do that?
Generally, I prefer children after 7 because, and I wanted them young because the nimble, the organic patterns of Mohiniyattam can be best acquired in a body which is not introduced to other forms, perhaps. So when I started teaching, this was not possible because every body which I get was either introduced to many other art forms as well. So I have a teaching skill to unlearn many things also. But generally, for a starter, I think after maybe by 7, 8, 9, she can join.
So, ma'am, you said that you have to be raw to begin with this. So, what is that something that really differentiates Mohiniyattam? Because you've also mastered other classical art forms. So, what is that really differentiates it from?
Mohiniyattam is truly a lyrical form, when the scientific core, the disciplined core of the form evolved in later, but at the soul, it has this beautiful lyricism, which has a feeling very unique when you compare it to the other parallel dance forms. Yeah, the deep feeling of Shringara, the feeling of beauty inside, where I feel that I am beautiful, I feel this beauty, and I give that to the onlookers. This essential Anubhava is called the Lasya Anubhava, which is unique and distinct for Mohiniyattam. While you speak that Lasya is grace, any art form is graceful. But here is an art form where the soul speaks louder of that feeling with all its finesse, uh, and which is very deep from the core. This makes Mohiniyattam different and distinct from the rest of the dance forms.
So, ma'am, you said that Mohiniyattam makes us feel beautiful. So that also reminds me of the controversies that Mohiniyattam has been into, like Mohiniyattam and Devadasis. So how does that impact this present form of Mohiniyattam? All
Mm.
those things.
Well, there were a lot of controversies, debates, discourses about the origin of Mohiniyattam. Uh, it has been misled by saying that it is between Bharatanatyam and Kathakali. Still it is there in our Wikipedia and all that, which is nonsense. Because Mohiniyattam, if it is between this, or if it has what shaded by other forms, it would never emerge with such a strong identity, as I said, which is very distinct, which means it has a hoary past which enabled it to find its root and its identity over the time. Mohiniyattam might have emerged late than the other art forms. I don't disagree. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have its own state. Now, every dancer and every one who's interested in research have done their research, and I'm really a, a historical research person, and I don't care much about the history. But as a dancer, as a Mohiniyattam dancer particularly, I have my own views about it, and my own understanding. Uh, One thing is that Kerala history has to be understood in terms of accommodation of various cultures, like acculturation and accumulation of different cultures, because we have this pluralism, truly diverse cultural ethos living in one umbrella. When you say that when Kerala was addressed as the mad society, there was also an atheist group. There was also people who were non-religious, who were detached from the so-called religious practices. So this Malayali identity is a wholesome of different invasions, uh, as I told you, what have accumulated and all that. Now coming, this needs a research of the cultural history of Kerala. At least you should start from the medieval age, because in 8th century it's a period of Adi Shankara, and we got this great Advaita Vedanta. 9th century, it is the end of this Chera Chola, Pallava, and the last king, Kulashekara, the Chera king, Ramavarma Kulashekara, comes to the 10th century, and where the 11th century, again, Malayalam, the origin of the language. So this linguistic identity emerged around, say, this 11th century, 12th century, etc. Now, when the earliest literature as the Manipravalam speaks about the women who are dancers, it cannot come from the sky. It speaks about the social, cultural situation of the then Kerala, isn't it? Whether it is Tamilagam or the identity which we were kind of Malayali land was acquiring. Now it is your headache whether you call her a Devadasi or a Devadichi or a Ganika, but the women, especially the elite Naya woman, was had a different personality altogether. It is very interesting to say that this Aditya Varma of the Sandesha Kavyam is going to see this his lady love, uh, who is a Devadasi. Okay, and it is not just you go for something very materialistic. He has to impress her with the poetics, the poetry, the verses. In those days, were the days they can be communicated. There was this fashion, this vogue of addressing in the prosaic, in terms of the words and all that. So that is the splendor of the literature, and this is a land of great Upanishads, parallel studies, Sanskritized. It's a land of Sanskritization, but also a land of religious, but a secular country. So, I mean, a state. So there are different hues coming up and living, merging into under a single umbrella. What I mean to tell you is that these Devadasis, which I believe, this is what I believe, have never been seen in temples. If you look parallelly like the Tamil Devadasis or Telugu Devadasis, you might not find her in the Kerala cultural atmosphere where Nambudiris and Naduvaris were leading. And then you come with the literature after Manipravalam, when you come to the art, Nambiar, where Mohiniyattam is said, where about the women he says in a very demeaning way, which means that these women who were dancing was existing. And you take the folk history of Kerala, invariably all clan of people danced. Take it whether it is Kaliyattam, Mudiyetta, Kanyargali, Parijamuttukali, Kuravan Vattakali, Tiruvadirakali, or Margam Kali. Invariably, every sect of people, irrespective of gender, irrespective of the caste divisions, subdivisions, religion, danced. Every women in every religion danced. Dance was a natural, grassroots, inherent expression of the social living. This women, this Naya woman, has a different cultural. You need to study them in under the shade of the relationship, the psyche, how they moved, what was the sort of entertainment, and there you will get this beautiful dancer, where she was. It was nothing like a ritualistic about her. Kerala was never, this dance was never ritualistic, but she danced. There was an entertainment given for the onlooker, where she was understood as a woman who's the seat of sensuality, who's the seat of beauty. Now, this woman, a Mohini, was there as part of Kerala history. This cannot be moved by you applying an eraser or not. No. This was carried over through centuries. And when it came to Swati Tirunal, he only tried to revive and make it strong, to be seen with all its distinct features through the Tanjore quartet or the dances. He didn't make any new form. He found that this form was very interesting. And what it lacked, he tried to give with the literature, with the music, and he made a room for a discourse with the native dance style and those who had knowledge about dance and music. So when you look for a Devadasi in the temples, she's not there because that was not the cultural atmosphere of Kerala. So this is how my study goes. And your question was, how has it affected Mohiniyattam, present day Mohiniyattam? It is not. Like I told you, I'm not worried about the history or its identity. I am working from what I have got from my gurus and what I have understood about Mohiniyattam. Yes, of course, as a native of Mohiniyattam, of Kerala, I have imbibed a natural way of getting into it, and I'm a Trivandramite as well, where Mohiniyattam was seen at the time. I don't care whether it is the Devadasi or it was a Tevadiyachi or a Ganika, but I'm proud that such a woman lived and the ethos of her dance, ethos of her expression, her sensuality has been carried over, and I, as a dancer of this contemporary period, understand it, hold it, try to imbibe it, and try to teach and make the generations carry over.
Ma'am, I'm sure that this explanation just clears off every reservation that anybody might have.
I'm sorry, I cannot. You should speak a little louder because it's heavy rain here.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry. So, ma'am, I'm sure that this just clears up whatever reservations we've been having regarding how history has been for Mohiniyattam. But, ma'am, since we've been talking about how women have been seen, like you said that women have always been part of dances. They've always been part of different classical art forms, but still there were some misinterpretations. So, if we talk about women, I think these are a little strange times to be a woman. We have had several women-led movements, and many of them have also been recognized. But then we also see that women are still fighting for an equal paycheck or maybe equal opportunities to be uh, offered to prove themselves. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I understand that you asked about the women-led movement. So is that so,
Yes, ma'am.
actually? Well, I'm understood as a feminist, which I'm not because I'm a humanist. But I would like to uh, answer you. See, women history in Kerala, it's a feudal history we have, where women was ruled and is considered as a second grade property, a property uh, like where you see, because this is a global problem. I think you asked about the identity. Can you come again?
Ma'am, what I meant was that although women have always been associated with dances, their identity was somehow misinterpreted in context of
Okay, okay.
Mohiniyattam.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, that is because let me try to tell you on the basis of Mohiniyattam, the women of Mohiniyattam. Is that fine?
Sure. Yes,
Okay,
sure.
okay. See, as I told you, from the history we came till the period of Swati Tirunal. Women were free to dance, or women wanted to dance. It was taken in the right sense. According to, see, every time the cultural living of a people will be influenced by this political, socio-political environment, no doubt. So, according to the regional kings or landlords, their politics and their mindset, the women had to, particularly the artist women, had to suffer, had to, and only under the ages of a political political ages that this art forms could revel, and of course the artists. For Mohiniyattam, the parallel art forms which existed was the Kutha and Kathakali. When I tell you, this also should be counted. Nowhere in the globe, here you see two art forms which just literally made for enjoyment. This was a cultivated form, it didn't occur naturally. And one fine day, Ravana sat with the big crown and this thing. There were a lot of intellectual, artistic, understanding and molding, which an art form like this, art forms like this evolved. So this was for the enjoyment of the elite class. And maybe, not maybe, it is sure that those people who enjoyed such art forms which stood in a great pedestal, where you have a lot of things to enjoy in terms of the literary aspect of the form. See, in Kudiyattam, we have the words, is the enactment of words, and the possibilities, the synonyms of the words. Can you understand? So this Anvayam, or how they go about the enactment, is truly different, which made the elite class felt more interested and drawn towards these art forms, which stood, of course, in a higher pedestal. Naturally, this dance, which had this lyrical, this luring, this enchantment, was looked upon with a, something very down. They couldn't express, they couldn't work. Every art form had to evolve. There was no space. So naturally, the women had to, you know, live with different, as slaves of the men in the feudal setup, and they themselves perhaps felt like, okay, we are doing something, we are dancing, and this multi relationships where you are kept as a concubine, or it was part of their living. There isn't any room for the expression of through their art form. So this is like degrading the takers who were had to stand in with a lot of modesty. Were degraded, and the art form was also degraded. So this was the political, social circumstance of those times. What I say is, Mohiniyattam is Mohiniyattam. Mohiniyattam was Mohiniyattam, and whatever it has, it had. This was the political situation. Now, when it had its ups and downs, when it was downgraded, there was also a time which it emerged as a strong form. So, as a form which was practiced by women. It had its own history of being downgraded and being, very meek and very feeble in terms of its expression. So, my topic of research for my postdoctoral studies was this post-colonial identity construction of the Kerala society, which I worked in Mohiniyattam. So there was a time when the Mohiniyattam dancer didn't have this freedom to select her repertoire. She danced for the taste of the onlooker, who found this woman very interesting in a physical way. So she had to dance. I lost my Mukuti is there with you. She will go to the dance. The people who was watching her, she was. It was very pathetic at one point of time. But that was history, and this colonial identity where the women got educated, women had their own stay within the society, where she became the key person of the family. This education have emerged with a lot of progressive movements as well. I'm telling you, when Kerala was called a mad society by Vivekananda, there was also a lot of social reformers like Narayana Guru, Chakam uh, where we still believe in one caste, one religion for man, and their philosophy was taken by the Kerala society. What I'm telling you is this progressive, uh, political movements found a root in Kerala only. When when you say about the religion, the religious faith, the land of Advaita, it is also a land of atheists and secularism. So I think in the contemporary world, the progressive thoughts, the progressive movements can do a lot for the women. And that's how society is going forward. And I have hope and faith in them.
Ma'am, what I understand of this is that some people, what I can say is that everybody had some mindset, and with time, that mindset just evolved into something what we see now.
Yeah.
So, so that a similar kind of phenomenon also happens with the art form itself.
Yes.
Like with time, it evolves. It gets added new things. So, ma'am, you being a pioneer in the field, you've also introduced new dimensions and novelty into the art form. So,
Mm-hmm.
we'd like to know that what exactly that is.
uh, Thank you. Let me tell you my personal experience. When I came to Mohiniyattam like 25 years back, there was a lot of don'ts in the form, okay? That's what I said. When I came, though the art form seemed to be very interesting, there was a lot of conservative thinking, and also which was struck in a particular mindset, which restricted Mohiniyattam. I believe this restricted Mohiniyattam from stepping forward. Uh, Mohiniyattam is a Vaishnavite art form. It doesn't mean that it should not grow into depicting other deities. Mohiniyattam should grow as a complete art form where every human sentiment can find its place in it. It should be strong enough to uh, encompass the different sentiments for that matter. At that time, when a small incident, I learned a Varnam from Kalamandalam Leelama teacher out of my interest, which was on Lord Shiva. It was very, very beautiful Varnam, and I was asking her out of my interest, like why this is supposed to, this is so good, and why didn't you dance? Then she was telling that, okay, but this was on Shiva. My teachers also will be not that much, finding happy about it. I popularized that. I danced in Madras Music Academy when I was, blessed with the award. This was the main item. So what I meant to say, that this brought a lot of fresh air, because that was the time Mohiniyattam was about to change. I had to go further, saying that Tandava, or what is Tandava, and how an art form needs it. Okay, is that the women of the protagonist of Mohiniyattam should always be identified as a woman who is always sensual, where is always having this delicate shringara, which is always surrendering, there is always waiting for the god. Fine, this is fine. This is the classic Mohiniyattam identity, no doubt about it. But at the same time, Mohiniyattam has to touch different literature, different possibilities, open new windows. So that is how I started doing a choreography of Dance of Shiva in one of my program performances. See, the fear was very natural, where the lasya element would go, would be put in trial, which is not. Lasya is a very scientific usage of the body, which has to be understood by the dancer in her ways of training and her understanding about the aesthetics of the form. It cannot go that if you stamp your foot, what the arithmetic which you are doing in a particular core weight, if you voice it through your feet, lasya doesn't fly away. It doesn't go like that. So that there was a time when Mohiniyattam has to emerge as a modest form in a patriarchal society. Well, at those times, these great legends of Mohiniyattam, Kalyani Amma, Kalamlam Satyabhama, who were the mothers of Mohiniyattam, fought for it. They brought Mohiniyattam visible with a pedagogy at that point of time. They weren't dancers, but they made dancers to dance. But that was a period. That was not a period where Mohiniyattam is complete. When I speak of Mohiniyattam, Mohiniyattam is not complete. It will have its own, there will be some other, Kalyani Amma's coming, some other Neena Prasad coming, some other Leela, some other Smriti teacher coming, it will be carried on and on. So, this was the starting time of where I was taking the art form as my profession. But later, I had my learning under Kalyani Amma teacher style as a child. My teacher, Ramani Sadashivan, started Mohiniyattam. But then later, when I learned with Kalamulam Satyabhama teacher, who is the junior Satyabhama teacher, and when I came to Sugandhi teacher later, Sugandhi teacher was also having the same history of studying both the styles. And I learned under Kalamulam Shemavati teacher also. But there were a lot of ambiguities where you say about the gray area, no? So I wanted to clear that and bring it into a very solid form where you don't have any doubts, where it is not vague for that matter, and where an art form can stand in with a foot of clarity and a pedagogy which will help you to develop this kind of lasya with the solidarity, with the solid nature the art form has. So that is how the second phase of my research and work started. I codified the adavus, and we took both this is an amalgamation of both the styles, and brought together, codified the adavus with the great experience of my teacher, my Guru Kalamkalam Sugandhi. And later, I trained in myself in my body, and also trained a good lot of students. And the third phase was to give a certain nomenclature, to stand as a complete form where how you learn Bharatanatyam or Kuchipudi, where every movement has a name. That's how it is. So that was the third phase, and where I am writing the book on. It is like written in black and white. So this is the third phase of my research and how I worked with Mohiniyattam. But when I speak to you, this is a period where Mohiniyattam has crossed the gender identity, where Mohiniyattam can take any situation to dancing, where Mohiniyattam can address any human sentiment, and it has been very beautiful journey as my personal experience.
That was an amazing insight, ma'am. Ma'am, on a lighter note, we'd like to know that how are you spending these quarantine days? Like, has it been tough or has it been rewarding?
Well, I did a small expression for COVID during I think in April something the early hit of the pandemic. These days, I see some old classics, movies which I always kept, in the shelf to take, like the old Tamil movies, Haridas, Upamke, Tyagaraja Bhagavatar, that Chinnappa, those music, those dancers who danced, all those things which I had to see, and I get a time to read. These days I was so lousy and I was so lazy to read, but now I get that time, and I think this is the time I also improve my Hindi. So
Neena ji,
I can do a better job.
Ask you something? Hello, Neena ji, Ashok here.
I have great regard for Ashok ji, because he was the person who have identified you, discovered me, and put me to SPIC MACAY. Ashok ji, that was a great that was a great moment. If we would have not done that, I would have not been here. So thank you, and I greet you this fine morning.
Ma'am, then how has been your experience with SPIC MACAY since then?
When Ashok ji took me to Kota for the first time, I was really scared, because you have to talk in Hindi. It should have. I have some Hindi, which is a 10th standard Hindi for me. I can understand. I can speak in a like day-to-day speaking. Their communication is possible, but not in a very deep way as I talk as a dancer. So my dear friend, great friend Rama Vaidyanathan, she helped me to make a screenplay of what I am dancing. So after one and two shows, I think I was very comfortable, and the first tour itself was a very great success, because I enjoyed and my performance for the students. Most importantly, I learned something, that Mohiniyattam is a form that would go very beautiful with the North Indian culture. I don't know why. Perhaps this has its thrust in music, this has its thrust in emotion, this has its thrust in the expression, which has a core feeling of feeling beauty, feeling beautiful. Maybe that will come to hit the hearts of the young minds. So I feel that it has been very interesting. There was one incident which I cannot forget with Mickey. Once I was touring in Meerut, and every day the Speak Mackay coordinator will tell us, okay, today you are going to this school, that school. And that fine morning when I was traveling, he said, we are going to school where children are deaf and dumb. Okay, I said, okay. I casually said, okay, I will go. I got into the stage and I looked into the kids. I don't know what to speak. I should speak in, they should hear me. What I have to dance, how, without music, without hearing the music, without hearing the literature, how I am going to reach Mohiniyattam to their minds. Ayyo, that was a moment to tell you. And I started saying that we have something in common. We are speaking through the gestures. We are putting forth our idea through gesticulation. Ayo, this is an amazing teacher who translated what I had to say. And I asked them, do you know Krishna? Yes, they knew Krishna. Do you know how naughty he was? Ayo, it was so wonderful. Speak Mackay gave me that rare opportunity where art could be taken to the human minds. I'm really, really thankful. That was a light moment for me.
Neena ji, can
Yeah.
you? I just got disconnected in between. Can you show us something through your eyes? Because eyes are a very, very important aspect in all the dance forms.
Okay.
So you have been giving the lovely introduction and everything, but let children see a bit of your abhinay sitting there, and you can show us something.
Okay. In Mohiniyattam, uh, the Abhinaya goes in two ways. One is uh, when the song is sung, you gesticulate for every word. Okay. Kanta, Tava Pidanyan, Enduje, every word, and you gesticulate with a particular gesture. But there is also another way where you are struck in one word, you expand it over the singing and make the main sentiment stay. So this is a classic pattern of enactment in Mohiniyattam, where you get a room for the Upanga Vinaya. Now let me try that. So this is Aliveri Endu Chevu, Handa Jnanini Manini. It's a composition of Maharaja Swadhi, where this classic Naika of Mohiniyattam in the Vipralambha situation, she thinks of her feeling, she shares a feeling to her Sakhi, and she says that when am I going to be united with my God, who is the epitome of charm? So I just will exemplify with my gesticulation with the Abhinaya. Aliveni endu cheyo handanyani mani ni aliveni endu cheyo handanyani Mani ni aliveni endu ചെയ്യൂ അന്തജ്ഞാനിനി മാനി നീയളിവേ ഹന്തജ്ഞാനി മാനി അളിവേനി എന്തു ചെയ്യൂ This was addressing a woman who had this bee-like,
Lovely.
bee-like,
Beautiful, beautiful.
tresses, hair. I don't know how it looked, but
It was lovely, ma'am. It was lovely. I would also like to thank Ashok sir for making us get this opportunity, sir. I would have invested. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, like before concluding, we'd also like to, since this Anubhav series is about the Guru Shishya Parampara, so I would also like to have some of your thoughts on that. How do we invite that into
when you are raised this question, this is the time we all, express this Guru, the Shishya Parampara through the online. So it is just a time to speak on this. See, the great tradition of Indian system of education has to be understood with this system where the Guru and Shishya lives in the same same place, which meant that education was multi-layered. You learn science, you just hear your teacher explaining this theory, that theory, and go to your living is not education. For us, it was just like how you hear and what you take and what is the change that has come to you by acquiring that education. When you start the art discipline, how you are ready to take that discipline, how that education, how that knowledge have transformed you to the individual who is capable to take or shoulder that art form further. So this was identified by a person who is not just a facilitator, not just a teacher, but a guardian, a guide who takes your responsibility, where he works on an individual level, one-to-one, understanding your limitations, understanding your potentials. So I think that this is the education which is apt for our disciplines. No doubt about it, where you don't have any time to ask doubt to your guru. In these days, I think that every teacher will have such an experience with a student as well, because your students come to you not from your particular region only. They come from different places. Many times they are living with you. When I learned with Sondhi teacher, I stayed with her. When I learned with Shemavati teacher, I stayed with her. When I learned with Lakshman sir, invariably there were days I was staying with him. With Chinnasatyam master, I will tell you, from morning 8 you are there and you will be leaving his home only at 11 or 12 when we had rehearsal. So I could taste this. Sundhi teacher, when she taught me, she cooked, she made chutney and said, "Oh, Neena, how was that movement? How she thought about her creativity. It was like the fresh morning dew coming coming to your hand." With Shema, the teacher, similar experience. She would be talking about her living, her children here, how she danced when somebody raised her question, like why are you doing only, you are doing something of Raudra, how is this possible, So her living with the art form was understood for me. If you come for a certain hours and you learn, that is not possible. So art is something which have to be understood in deep, how you are, how two people would think, how a person can influence the other. So I give great regard for this, and I'm also have this high regard for SPIC MACAY, who always pronounces, always thrust this tradition of art forms with its, and it's a relation from the umbilical cord, which cannot be taken. So always SPIC MACAY have thrusted in this Guru Shishya Parampara, and my salutations.
So, ma'am, what I've come to understand is that the proximity which you have with your guru and living with that art form is basically what gives you what we're seeking right now. So,
Yes,
the kind
sure.
of gurukul environment which is missing right now. So, I guess all of these changes in how we educate ourselves has deterred us from some of the values, core values which we should have. So, like any message that you'd like to give us as
I don't know whether I'm, uh, you know, very capable to give a advice, but from my experience, I can talk like there are many things which an artist has to learn. When we talk about this, being humble, being respecting to others, there are many things. It's not that you don't argue, but there is a mind which is truly sensitive for so many things, without which art is not possible. Like you are doing something, a character comes. It is not that okay, you do a salutation to the character. There are something which is indigenous to you, where you address him. It is not just addressing him through your gestures or your eyes, but there is a soul. There is a respect if it is shown to that character. So everything, what I'm trying to tell, I don't know whether I'm able to reach you, but there are so many things, so many layers of understanding, uh, which will make your mind to be a portal to understand various layers of one particular emotion. So, you need to be very humble. Why you need to be humble? Only a humble mind can be a portal of different emotions in a most, pure form. When you enact Sringara, when you enact different emotions, it should be very clear. It can come from only a mind which is clear as a crystal. Can you understand? So such things are needed for an artist. That's why in those times, the ages of the artist living was taken by the authorities. They don't need to worry about their family. They have to serve the art, serving the art. So there was this environment of their living and also their mindset, which enabled them to give that, support that. What I'm trying to tell you is that this is not easy. This is not a situation you and I live in the contemporary world. We cannot fail. but certainly there is a way to it. This is also a kind of self identification where at least you are not diverted, at least you are focused. So, this kind of mindset will certainly make you positive. Will certainly make you give that energy to go forward. That's all that I can tell at this hour.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I've really understood from this that we have to accept the art form as it is, and we have to uh, take it in its whole form. Ma'am, as much as I would like to continue talking to you because I feel so humbled right now to be given this opportunity. But I guess we have some time restrictions, so we'll have to wrap this up. But I'm really glad to have been a part of this session.
Once again, thank to this very uh, graceful host, SPIC MACAY has taking this Anubhava series forward. And it again, I'm thanking, yeah, I mean, once again, I'm thanking SPIC MACAY for giving me this fine opportunity to see everybody, to speak about this art form. It is certainly a blessing for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I would just like Ranjana Mishra, ma'am, to say her final word of thanks to you.
Okay, sure.
गुरु गोविंद दो खड़े काके लागू पाए बलिहारी गुरु आपने गोविंद देव बताए. These are the famous verses of Sant Kabir, and he says that Guru holds the highest position in one's life. Kiranji always also says in his talks that it is only a Guru who can bring a miraculous change in lives of his disciple. We are really happy to you for you, ma'am, that you are here. It was a beautiful interaction. Thank you for supporting SPIC MACAY, and SPIC MACAY is really surviving because of these beautiful artist contribution. I hope all viewers, I thank you all for watching Anubhav series. Stay connected and make this a huge success. Thanking you all once again. Namaskar.
Thank you, ma'am. We can conclude the session.
Over to you. Okay.